Hello, hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly. We find ourselves in a very tricky spot. We need funds so we can kickstart our transfer business, but this could mean doing business with Spurs. It's time for a big old debate. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up while those credits roll. And without further ado, let's get that intro going. So it's a time where we desperately need money coming into West Ham so we can actually start buying some players, which is starting to feel more and more urgent by the day. But interestingly, or perhaps worryingly, Spurs seem to be one of the teams most likely to pay into our transfer pot at this moment in time. And this is because Fabrizio Romano has been reporting their interest in Kudus, suggesting that it is very solid interest and not just a rumour. What he said was talks between Mohamed Kudus and Tottenham on project/personal terms are underway. Positive approach. Kudus open to joining Spurs while talks continue with both player and West Ham side. There are two more clubs still involved in the race. So obviously they're not the only people that could be coming in to try and buy Kudus, but it does sound as though it's the most concrete interest at the moment. So it's brought up a massive question, and it's definitely divided opinion amongst fans as well, because as you can see here, Richard has said, not everybody is overly excited by the thought of us dealing with Spurs. Now, I've tried to take my emotions out of this situation entirely, and it's made it a little bit easier to look at without feeling quite as sick. So what are the pros and cons? The cons, as I'm sure we all know, would be if Kudus hits the ground running at Spurs and we have to hear about how we were holding him back forevermore, which doesn't sound fun. We know that while he hasn't done well in the last season, there is a great player in there. He has been a great player for us at times. And with a new lease of life and renewed confidence, I reckon he might thrive at a new club, which probably puts us at a very high chance. And it is the West Ham way, isn't it? You can always guarantee if we sold him to Spurs that he would become one of their best players, and we would have to watch that season in, season out. Jimmy here speaks about some of his pros and cons, with the cons being Spurs fans rubbing it in that we've sent a player their way, with the pros being that we can start to focus on moving forwards as a club, which is definitely what we do need to do. It's one of those where it's really difficult to know whether it's better or not, to just separate your emotions and go, look, it's business. We don't want this player. We just want the money. I think the pros in terms of this move are that we can get money that we need to push on right now as a club for a player that doesn't seem to have a future with us as it stands, in terms of us feeling like he's going to play a key part in us doing well next season. General consensus from fans is that he isn't what we need at the club, and he doesn't have it in him to turn his fate around with us. So if we can get 85 million for a Premier League club to sign him, then this could be our chance to cash in, make a profit, invest in our future, and hopefully have a better next season than we had last season. But the challenge comes where Spurs are probably likely to offer a lower offer. Apparently Chelsea and Newcastle are also interested, so you could see some sort of bidding war sort of begin between them. But I would be surprised if anyone straight up offers 85 million release clause, because it's a lot of money, and they would only need to look at what fans have been saying online to say, look, this is a player that is out of favour, that nobody is valuing at the moment. So why would we pay this? Either keep it more like, basically they can play hardball, which is unfortunate for us. But it really has divided opinion on whether or not we should do business with Spurs. And if we do, what those terms would need to be, essentially. Adrian here, he said that ideally he wouldn't want to do business with Spurs, but he pointed out this wouldn't be the first time that something like this would have happened. And sometimes if you don't have a place for a player, it is best to just cash in to the highest bidder and move on, and trust that you knew correctly that a player wasn't going to help your side massively. We've got HM Iron here, who's spoken about the amount of money that would be fair based on last season's performance from Kudus, also emphasising our need to find money from somewhere so that we can go out and start bringing players in. And things really are starting to feel quite urgent. The more you hear about other clubs doing business, the more it seems to get frightening. I always say I won't judge a transfer window until the end of the window, like until the window is closed, because I know a lot of business can be done late, and it can take a lot of moving parts to fall into place for a transfer to come off. But it does still get stressy, doesn't it? And then Philip here definitely doesn't sound keen either on doing business with Spurs at all. Not finding any single pros of working with them to find a home for Kudus. So it's definitely got us all thinking, hasn't it? It's got us all considering what would need to happen for us to feel comfortable with the situation. Personally, I think regardless of what they offer for him, if he goes to Spurs, how he performs is going to play that key role in how comfortable we actually feel about him going over to them. Whether we pay 50 million or 85 million, I think if he goes on to smash next season for Spurs, I feel like we would still find it a very uncomfortable situation and probably be frustrated that we played a part in improving their team, who also, may I add, we need to be competing with next season. And then if he has a shocker, I reckon most of us will probably be happy to see that we've made money for a player that we weren't excited about playing anymore, especially if we can use those funds to then bring in some of the key players that we need and make next season better for ourselves. So I think one of my favourites, by the way, I've got to show you, was this one. So what's going to happen if Kudus does this celebration for Spurs against us, which you can always write it in the stars that it would happen. That would break my heart, but probably make me laugh at the same time. So yeah, it's an interesting one. A lot of people believe we should not do business, just full stop, with Spurs. I think if it works in our favour and if we can get terms that work for us, then we should. But it does carry the risk of him playing well for Spurs, us strengthening their side, and us having to hear about it forever. And as somebody who, unfortunately, has a few friends who have turned to the dark side of Spurs in their lifetime, I know that I will hear about it forevermore, which will certainly hurt my soul. So yeah, the big question I've got for you though is, if we had an offer of 10 million less from a club that wasn't Spurs, would you accept it, or would you take 10 million more for us to do business with Spurs? And how do you feel in general about us doing business with Spurs? Because it definitely is a difficult topic. I think there's obviously that rivalry where we don't want to give anything good to Spurs, but it's very difficult because we're also saying a lot of us don't believe that Kudus is good enough for us. So therefore, we should be happy to pass him on. But then there's that fear that creeps in as a West Ham fan that he's just been underperforming with us. He's going to go and smash it at Spurs. So it definitely gets us all thinking, doesn't it, on this fine rainy Monday, Wednesday. It's not a Monday at all. Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, that is all from me for now, but we've got some big updates in today's Hammers headlines. So join me at 5 p.m. where I'm going to be running through those. Thank you so much as always for watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button, drop a comment below with your thoughts on whether or not we should be dealing with Spurs in this transfer window, and make sure you subscribe so you never have to miss an update from West Ham Network. Thank you so much as always for watching. Have a great day. Come on, you Irons. Irons, signings, please.